And welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Chris Kelso. Must be starting something right now. Let me tell you, I'm starting it with Charles Alvarez. He's president and Focal Point International Cornerstone Business Coaching. Charles, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, Chris. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Enjoying this beautiful morning. More importantly I want you to introduce our next guest, if you don't mind.
Well, we're proud to have as our guest today Jane Howze with the Alexander Group, who is a wonderful recruiting and staffing company. Jane, welcome to the show.
Well, Charles, it's great to be back here with you.
And no more importantly is I actually know her, by the way.
That's awesome.
That is correct. That is correct. But I'll let you continue going. Let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
We met years ago. I'm Jane Howze with the Alexander Group. The Alexander Group is a retained executive search firm. Founded in 1983, we have offices in Houston, New York, San Francisco, San Diego, Salt Lake City, and London.
Can you add a few more, though?
Stay tuned, as it were.
Well, and you're sitting here in the great area of Houston. What are you seeing in the Houston market right now in regards to executive searches going on?
This is a tough time for the Houston market. I think I read that 80,000 people have lost jobs, especially in the energy area. For us at the Alexander Group, we're still very busy. We've never specialized in energy or anything, actually. We're a generalist search firm, and when we started the firm, we got most of our clients came from California because at that time there were very few women in executive search. So we're having a fairly robust year, but it is a very tough time for a lot of energy executives who I think are having to figure out how to retool themselves until the energy market rebounds.
And Charles, before we go too much further, by the way, I forgot to ask you, if you don't mind, let all of our listeners know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, we work with professional services firms where the business owner is overworked and underpaid, and we work with them to free up their time and to scale their business.
That is awesome. Overworked and underpaid, huh?
Yep.
So, sort of a common theme right there. Well, I know you brought a great guest on. I'll let you continue to ask her some additional questions that you might have that you specifically wanted to address.
So, Jane, what are the biggest challenges that your markets are facing or your clients are facing, and how is the Alexander Group specifically tooled to be able to address and overcome those challenges?
Well, Charles, I think one of the things that every client at every time, it doesn't matter what the business cycle is how do you recruit the very best talent, and how do you recruit talent who will fit in with your culture? And then increasingly today, what we are seeing is there's a huge demand for diversity, geographical diversity, every type of diversity. And how do you identify those candidates? And you have a lot of corporations suddenly trying to have a diverse executive suite. And how do you do that? And how do you create that culture where it perpetuates itself?
Great. Can you give us an example of how you have addressed that challenge in the recent past and what the outcome was?
Yes. We recently, I guess late last year, conducted a search for an energy company who was seeking a female director. They had, as the CEO said, he said, I'm tired of looking at men who look exactly like I do, same age, same background. And so our challenge was to recruit a diversity candidate who had a strong engineering background, who had a strong energy background. And the challenge is there are not a lot of those people, a lot of those females to be identified. And so we were able actually to recruit two female candidates, both who are on the board and who are doing a great job. But I think one of the things you see with boards nowadays is they want someone with board experience, but yet it's kind of a catch-22. Until you get board experience, you don't have board experience. So it's one of those clubs. Once you get in, you'll get multiple calls for other directorships, but until you get that first one, you don't qualify because you don't have board experience.
That's amazing. So after she was placed, have you heard kind of how she's doing there?
Yeah, she both of them are doing really well. Actually, one of them was recruited for one of the subsidiary boards, and that one was sold, and she was very much part of helping guide the board through that. And the other director is doing really, really well. So I get asked a lot, Charles, how do I get on my first board of directors? And the truth is, once you get on your first one, the rest of them are easy. The first board is the hardest board to get on, and what you have to do is start networking. You have to get your resume on file with all the large global search firms. I can't overemphasize the importance of having a LinkedIn profile with a picture. There's a lot of basic things you have to do to get that first board seat. But that seems to be one of the questions that I'm asked the most, is how do I get on my first board?
Great. So, Jane, if you don't mind walking us through, as we're starting to come to a close here, if you mind walking us through, if somebody were interested in retaining your executive search firm, kind of walk us through, if they reach out to your firm, what can they expect?
Well, we're what's called a retained search firm. So you retain us. You don't pay us for making a placement. You retain us the way you would a law firm or you contract with us to conduct a search. And our job is to lose sleep over the search so the client doesn't have to lose sleep. And so we identify the candidates, we interview the candidates, we conduct very detailed background checks on the candidates. But the most important thing we do is spend time with the client assessing culture and assessing fit, because the reason most executives, when they move to a new company, if they fail, they don't fail for lack of qualifications. They fail because they don't mesh with the culture of the company that they've joined. And I see that as our strongest talent, is being able to assess culture fit.
And if somebody wanted to actually take that first step and reach out to you or learn more about your firm, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, we are very active. We have a very active website. It's thealexandergroup.com. And my email is on the website. We have 30 consultants, and we have all of their emails and bios and experience are on our website. We're also active on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and gosh, have I left anything out? I hope not. But if I have, we're on. If I haven't, we still are on it.
And let me tell you this, Charles, I still get all their emails. I met her, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. Still get all my emails and all my follow-ups. So let me tell you, very diligent in that regards. We are coming up against the end of this segment. Charles, how can we reach you if you don't mind?
Best way to reach us is by going to my website, which is cornerstonebusinesscoaching.com.
cornerstonebusinesscoaching.com. That is Charles Alvarez with his great host, Jane, with the Alexander Group. That is correct. And so we appreciate both of you being on The Price of Business today. Thank you all very much.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
For all those tuned into The Price of Business, you can always catch us, not only this show, but all the great shows in the past at priceofbusiness.com. I am your host, Chris Kelso. Hope you all have a great morning. Until next time, we are out.